Hello everybody. Today we're going to go over the flag division method, and I'm going to make sure to write the steps. So pay attention because it turns out to just be an algorithm. We do the same steps over and over again. So we have the dividend here, we have the divisor here. First thing we're going to do is draw two vertical lines, then I'm going to draw a horizontal line. Okay? I'm going to put the first digit of the divisor right here, and I'm going to put two digits right here. They're called the flagged digits. Okay, I'm actually going to find the decimal, so I don't need this. So, and then I put my dividend 2, 5, 3, 5, 4, 5. Let's put a couple of decimals, okay, afterwards. So that's really important. We haven't even done any actual math, but that's the setup. I'm going to go ahead and work right here, and I'm going to show my steps. So where do we start? Well, just like in regular division, we start with the divisor, this right here, and we start with the dividend. We start at the left. Is 2 smaller than 8? Yes, so I can't start here. I have to start at 25. So all I have to focus on is, and my step 1 is 25 divided by 8. Let's go ahead and do that. So I have 25 over 8, which is obviously 3, remainder 1. Okay? So where does that 3 go? That 3 goes right underneath here, so I'm going to put a 3. And the remainder is 1, it's going to go right here. Okay? This comes with practice, but another useful thing to know is if the decimal point's here, and I have 2 flagged digits, I know in my answer, my decimal point's going to go right here. Okay? So, usually before, we'd immediately go to the next dividend figure and how many times does 8 go into 13, but because we have flag digits, we have to make an adjustment, okay? So I'm going to say step 2. We're going to say 13 minus 2 times 3. That's obviously 13 minus 6, which is clearly 4 plus 3, so that's 7. So I want to think of it as how many times does 8 go into 7, not 8 go into 13. So once we make the adjustment, we're ready to see how many times this goes into that. And we repeat the process. That's pretty much what we do. So step 3. How many times does 8 go into 7? So that means 7 over 8 is 0, remainder 7. Okay? So that quotient figure goes right here, right underneath the 13. And that 7 goes right here. Okay? Now, we have to account for these 2 digits and these 2 digits. So we're going to, from 75, we're going to subtract the cross products. Cross products means this times this plus this times this. Left, right, right, left. Okay? So step 4. We have 75 right here, minus, now pay attention here, 2 times 0, you don't have to write that out because it's 0, but to get the structure, I'm going to write it out. 2 times 0 plus 1 times 3. So, that's 75 minus 2 times 0 is just 0. 1 times 3 is 3, so it's just 75 minus 3, so that's 72. Okay? So I'm going to think of a 72 going right here. Now this part comes with experience, but how many times does 8 go into 72? Clearly it's 9, or 9 remainder 0, but because I recognize that I'm going to have to subtract from here, I don't want to be left with negative numbers. So this comes with experience. Instead of saying 9 remainder 0, I'm going to say 8 remainder 8. Okay? 8 remainder 8. Sorry about that. Get that better. Okay? So that 8 goes right here. And this 8 goes right here. So look, it may seem complicated if this is the first time you're seeing it, but look what we do. We divide, subtract, divide, subtract, divide. So it's a pattern now. The only thing we have to keep in mind is we have to account for the cross products now. So I'm going to account for 21 and 08. So let me take my 84. 84 minus 2 times 8 plus 1 times 0, which is of course just 0. So I have 84, I'm going to show my work here. 84 minus 16 plus, is this anything? No, this is 0. So it's just 84 minus 16. What does that equal? 68. Okay? So, I want to think of the 68 right here. Now I'm ready to divide again. Step 7. 68 divided by 8 is 8 with a remainder of 4. So I'm going to put an 8 over here, and I'm going to put a 4 over here. So now I'm going to shift over and focus on 8 and the 8 and the 2 and the 1. Okay? So, step 8. By the way, guys, you can do this mentally, okay? It's not that hard. But obviously I'm showing you the steps. But this can all be done mentally. So I take my 45 minus cross products. 2 times 8 plus 1 times 8. So what does that equal? 45 minus 16 plus 8. So that's 45 minus, what's 16 plus 8? 24. So that's 21, okay? So I want to think of a 21 being over here. Let's keep going now. Step 9. Probably going to go to step 10, then we'll stop. Step 9 is going to be 21 divided by 8 equals 2. Remainder 5. So I'm going to put a 2 over here. I'm going to put a 5 over here. Let's go one more step because that's going to tell me is my answer 0.82 or 0.83. Do I have to round up or keep it like that? That next digit is going to help us determine that. So finally, step 10. We have 50 minus, again, I like to put underline the last two so we focus on this. Sum of the cross products. Look, I'm writing it out, but you could clearly do this mentally. 2 times 2 is 4. 1 times 8 is 8. 4 plus 8 is 12. 50 minus 12 is 38. Yes, you can do that mentally, but I'm showing you the steps. So, 2 times 2 plus 1 times 8. So what does that equal? 50 minus 4, and it gets distributed, minus 8. So that's 50 minus 12. I talked about that. That's already going to be 38. Okay, so we want to picture the 38 over here. How many times does 8 go into 38? The answer is 4 with a remainder of 4. So, if I were to get my answer to 5 significant figures, the final answer would be 308.82. Okay? If I wanted it 2 spaces past the decimal. Okay? There you have it. So those are my steps. Let's go ahead and do this example, and I'm just going to go a little bit faster, okay? So, we draw 2 vertical lines, a horizontal line, 6 goes here, 1 goes here, 2 goes here. If we have decimals, we don't need that, sorry. So I'm going to say 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And let's put some decimals. Okay, now, I know my decimal is going to go right here because I have 2 flag digits, so I go 2 spaces to the left of the decimal. Okay? So, how many times does 6 go into 34? It goes in 5 times, right? There's a remainder of 4. Okay? This is right underneath the 4, so the next number is going to be right here. Now, remember, I have to do the subtraction first. 45, you multiply the flag digit times the last quotient figure. So 45 minus 1 times 5. At first, you only do this. Then later on, you do 2 and 2 at a time. So 45 minus 1 times 5 is just 40. How many times does 6 go into 40? It goes in 6 times, and there's a remainder of 4. Okay? Now here's the part where we're going to do the cross multiplication. 1 times 6 plus 2 times 5. 6 plus 10. 6 plus 10 is 16. 46 minus 16 is 30. How many times does 6 go into 30? Clearly, the answer is 5, but I'm going to say 4 and give myself a remainder of 6. Okay? So, now we're going to focus on subtracting the sum of these cross products. So I have 67 minus, only focus on 1 and the 2 and the 6 and the 4, right? So I have 1 times 4 plus 2 times 6. 4 plus 12 is 16. Okay? 67 minus 16 is 51. How many times does 8 go into 51? So we might have to say 7 or 8. I'm going to try 8 with the remainder of 3. Okay? Now, I'm going to subtract the sum of these cross products. 1 times 8 plus 2 times 4. 8 plus 8 is 16. 30 minus 16. Let's do that again. 1 times 8 plus 8 is 16. 30 minus 16 is 14. How many times does 6 go into 14? It only goes in twice. And there's a remainder of 2. Let's go one last step to determine if we have to round up or not. So now I'm going to subtract these two. 1 times 2 plus 2 times 8. 2 plus 16 is what? What's 2 plus 16? That's 18. Okay? 20 minus 18 is 2. How many times does 6 go into 2? 0 with a remainder of 2. So if I wanted my answer to 3 decimal places, it would clearly be 56.482. Okay? Keep practicing. As you can see, I did this all in my head basically, and you can too. Okay? Just keep track of it. The pattern is you're just going to end up cross multiplying. So what I mean by that is this times this plus this times this, okay? And you subtract it. Good job.